You are the only participant in the conference. The recording has started.
Greetings and welcome. Hopefully all the mics are on with everything. All right, so we're changing things up a little bit. This time with OBS, we're going through Rumble primary and YouTube as a secondary stream, as opposed to YouTube as the primary and Rumble as a secondary. So we'll see how this works here. So we'll get things going. Make sure that you put in the chat, whatever platform you're on. Make sure you put in the chat at least your first name and what county you're on Indiana. I'm not sure how I'm seeing YouTube chats unless I pull it up and unless I pull it up to in YouTube and watch the live stream, I guess, to see if there's any in the chat, because when it was the primary, it allowed me to pull up that chat. So let's see what's going on, how I can be able to do that. Let's see. It should be, it hasn't said that it's live yet. So let's see. I wonder if it records in the back. I'm not exactly sure how that's, oh, let's see if there's something saying live now. No, nothing is saying live now. Oh, wonderful. So we'll have to work through that and figure that out. So let's see if it lets me go through this way. Well, we'll see, because we've got to get, we want to get things going here. I don't think it's letting me activate through here without it. So I'm not sure how that's working yet. So we got to keep going. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll get going with the introductions and everything. Welcome. I'm Christine Van Pelt, State Coordinator, Lead Recording Secretary for the Indiana Assembly. I want to welcome you home. This is the Indiana Assembly General and Militia Assembly, March the 18th, 2024. We are in session. Let's go ahead and take a moment to honor our Creator. All right, again, welcome everyone, and make sure you put in your chat your name and what county on Indiana you are on. And please, there's only 92 counties on Indiana. This is not a complicated question. I see that there's for many things that I've put in questions that for things that I've asked for what county you live on Indiana today, and you come up with every other possible answer except one of the 92 counties. There's no need for semantics. It's pretty simple. Which county on Indiana do you live on today? Okay, not complicated. So make sure your first name and what county, because we want to make sure you're included in the record. So it'll take me a little bit afterwards to make sure I get everything in, because I'll have to check YouTube to see who all. That's going to be interesting, because I'm not going to be able to monitor that the same. So this is what we're figuring out. So this is why I may have to take it back, reverse it back, but we'll see how it goes. But eventually at some point we needed to merge over to Rumble, I guess, anyway, but we'll see how it works. All right, we'll go ahead and keep moving forward with the Bivens Declaration. Now, you'll be able to put your response in the chat. You don't have to leave, but you do have to at least present yourself and notify us ahead of time. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting who is a member or agent or of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Is their response to the Bivens decision for the first time? Again, you can post a comment in the chat wherever you may be. I don't know if I can see chat yet unless somebody puts a chat. We'll see. It'll be interesting. Okay, so, and I'm not quite sure how we're going to be able to tell on YouTube. It's supposed to be doing it. I'm not sure how that. All right. Again, we'll figure it out as we go along. All right, so Hearing and seeing none, is there any response to the Bivens decision for the second time? Hearing and seeing none, is there any response to the Bivens decision for the third and final time? All right. Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including territorial United States or municipal United States, anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. All right, and here is the table of contents so that you'll be able to go through and link to go straight to what you're wanting. The agenda presentation information is down here. All right, again, it is March the 18th, 2024, and I, again, am Christine Van Pelt, State Coordinator for the Gibson County, and I am the State Coordinator for the Assembly. The Assemblies are able to have co-state coordinators, but there is only one lead coordinator so that there's not hundreds or more trying to make that communication, so there's at least one lead one to distribute the information out. Alright, so when I'm able to check back to see in the different spaces, I'll be able to put that in here. We're going to be running through some calls to action. Again, running through what I presented the week before last of Florida's election process for you to start reviewing. We need to start getting things ironed out. And then we're going to run through Anna's current articles, but there's a specific one that we need to read through, 4707, to expedite understanding. And then if Joe is able to meet with us, he'll be on Telegram. Sometimes he's not able to. He has his plate's far more full than mine. So as well as he has his own family and full-time work to support his family too. So we're grateful every time he does have an opportunity to join us. Otherwise, we have updates that we can be able to still present that will get information from him, and so forth. Now, we want to make sure that the next General Assembly is April the 1st at 6 p.m. and the next Jural Assembly is next week, March the 25th, both at 6 p.m. Central. We're still on an every 2-week basis on Monday until we get more people responding to the survey that's gone out for post to possibly change the assembly call date and time. So, but it's also, I'm waiting for people to also continue with updating their emails to make sure they're getting the information. So it's a process. Alright, so here is Logic and Laws of Freedom. Every man and woman is born free and derives to live and die free. Everyone is responsible for him or herself for what we think and what we do. With every right comes a responsibility. Our individual rights end where another's rights begin. Rights and freedoms that are not exercised are moot. When we enslave another, we enslave ourselves. We are responsible for directing those we employ. If we don't like something, it's up to us to change it. If we see an injustice, it's up to us to correct it. If we want peace, it's our duty to keep it. If we're bogged down, it's our job to climb over or dig under. If we cherish our own rights, we must cherish the rights of others. If we cherish our own freedom, we must cherish the freedom of others. And that's from Article 3014, Orientation for Newbies. And if you go to search.AunaVonRights.com, which will redirect you to search AmericanStateNationals.org, I think, or maybe .us on it. And do a search for Article 30, or even put in orientation, just the word orientation, you'll see several articles from Anna. I'm working to implement those articles into the new email automated system, but again, I'm also trying to get people to follow up with confirming their emails. This is a reminder that this is not a get out of trouble with the de facto ticket. Alright, there's no fairy dust involved here. We all have work to do, notices to send. and lots to do. We're not here to give legal, financial, medical, or even personal advice. Always guide the questioner to resources that will help make the decisions that are right for them. So don't call me as your legal assistant, as your financial or medical or whatever for personal advice. All I'm going to do is direct you to look up homework to see what's going to work for you. So you need to realize that I'm not your go-to gal to pick up the phone. I've got a problem and you need to answer me right now. You're going to have homework to do. But I'm going to start you with searchonyvonnewrites.com. Put your topic in. That's going to be your number one go-to place to get started. Here's a reminder of assembly participation and behavior guidelines. Nationality is a birthright. Assembly membership is a choice. While we cannot deprive people of their birthright, we can and must throw destructive people out of meetings and refuse to let them interfere with getting the work done. Participation in assemblies is predicated on being polite and productive members of the community. Troublemakers and anarchists and the me people need to be disciplined, educated, and if need be, shown the door. The assemblies are business organizations engaged in very serious and important business. We have to set the tone for new members and establish the group values so that the group as a whole disciplines people to be polite, logical, businesslike, and mature. The moment anyone starts acting like a 7th grader and gossiping and being paranoid, it's up to the whole group to let that person know that that behavior pattern is not appropriate, not productive, not appreciated, and won't be tolerated. And of course, shun any gossip and fear-mongering, and it will disappear. Those are only tools of distraction. Here's a reminder. Again, let me check to make sure. I think I have microphones turned on for everything, so hopefully. And let's see, free conference call. We have to screen share, don't we? Yes, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? I apologize. So that should show for you all now. Well, we'll see. Telegram is not showing it yet. Let's see. Let's see. Let's try. It should share the desktop. Again, technology. Hopefully it should be now. Telegram is not seeing it yet. Let's see. Let's go with I think that will be it. Hopefully. Alright, let's get this bigger here. You don't need to see me so much. Alright, so this should be helpful. Okay, so coordinator's mission. So this is what all the coordinators, our mission that we follow through with every opportunity we can. We cannot fail. We're willing and able to do this work physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We have resolve and determination. We walk the talk and work every day to bring the du jour into reality. We have excellent tools to complete our work. We set realistic and achievable goals. We learn and research constantly. We have a timeline. This year, there's no reason why we can't be at the end of this year. Ex parte Milligan happened on Indiana. We should be the way shower, right? We, let's see, we track our progress. We measure our strengths and weaknesses. We continually improve and revise accordingly. We conduct ourselves with peace and love. And just because you may get your feelings hurt doesn't mean that it still wasn't presented in peace and love. Okay? Remember that. Just because your feelings got hurt doesn't mean that it wasn't that it wasn't appropriate and it wasn't said in kindness. Spotting infiltrators. So what we're doing is so big, so important, so powerful that there are those who would like to see us fail. Some are highly trained and well-paid operatives with the patience to carry out a long-term plan of disruption. Some have personal agendas of gaining positions of power or control. Both are adept at concealing their actual motives, easily gaining our trust with charisma and so-called leadership skills. Then there are those that are so completely indoctrinated in it, and they've gotten so fancy with twisting the words, of twisting it around on someone else, and still not holding up to their own accountability and responsibility for their actions, trying to twist it and blame it on others. That isn't appropriate. Be accountable for your own actions. All you're doing is making excuses of trying to use others. It's not helping you, actually. Alright, so here are some of the classic behaviors that infiltrators can display. It's always attacking the leaders, the coordinators. Well, you said that I was supposed to do this. This is what you said I should do. When you're actually presenting the email that says otherwise, pay attention to what you're doing as well. Stay on point. They want to attack the foundational elements of the assembly, like the paperwork. They're sure that they know more about the paperwork, yet this is land and soil jurisdiction. You haven't worked with that paperwork before. You don't have the authority, you don't have the knowledge to be able to think that you can come in and change that paperwork. And you can read the rest, as well as here is more signs that there are their regular modus of operandi. And here's the article that Anna includes this list in. Here is a reminder of the Assembly's mission statement. There are 7 things outlined in here that is the role of the mission of the Assembly. Our Indian Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court system serving the people of Indiana. That's the number 1 item listed. Where are you people? The preservation of the national trust, the enforcement of the public law, the upholding of the federal constitution owed to our state and people, the repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction, the filling of vacated public offices, and the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. To these ends, we, the living people of Indiana, have called the eligible Indiana nationals and citizen electors to assemble and to serve as jurors and officers. And we've established the process and procedure to qualify jurors and others competent to hold state citizenship and public office. We do this peacefully and without rancor in the exercise of our unincorporated powers and capacities. And I see a message. Hold on. Let's see how I can. If I
Ain't
can
no thing.
Wayne on Miami made it. Welcome. All right. Welcome. We'll make sure that you are in the agenda. And are you with your lovely wife? That we can make sure we include her as well. Alright, we'll keep right on going. Move this down here. Alright, get back to this. Alright, so, and then the outreach mission statement, which everyone is a part of outreach, right? Everyone is a part of outreach. We were told we're supposed to share the good news, right? Share the good word. Our mission is to help people understand who they are and why they were misidentified as U.S. citizens of the United States, and provide a solution by correcting their political status, joining the Indian Assembly, including Home County Assembly, and becoming actively involved in restoring the Republican form of government we are owed. We do this through a combination of consulting, facilitation, and training services that provide the optional benefit to the future American. To assist future Americans, we offer a range of opportunities designed to live like an American. High-impact video conferencing, turnkey political correction process, web-based libraries, local assembly meetings, state assembly meeting, continental marshal and deputy programs, state and county committees. And if you'll notice in the mission, there are several items listed here. The very first one, though, is helping you to understand who you are. So many are still, even though they're awake, they're still not quite clear exactly as to who they are. And that's where we're having to make sure that if you don't even know who you are, you're not going to be able to work with any of the rest of this. So we want to make sure that that we support everyone. Oh, hopefully everything is okay in Kentucky, dear. We wish you love and prayers. Okay, and we have John on Carroll County. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. I'm making my list. All right. YouTube is not working. Yeah, it kind of is. I changed the setup where it's primarily going through Rumble, and then YouTube is the secondary, where in the past I've been doing YouTube as the primary and Rumble as the secondary through this OBS service. And so evidently this is the first time trying it, so I've got to work out some of those kinks, but it says it's recording it, so probably we'll have a video up afterwards. Alright, so again, these are the things that we need to do, we need to take care of, right? And that's where our outreach comes from, and that's where every one of us talk to everybody that we can, as well as we have to connect together. You have to get the emails so that you can be able to also know what's going on. It will help you keep you immersed in the language. It will also keep you, it's not just emails of letting you know, hey, the assembly call is tonight. It's also providing you valuable information and how to be able to walk as an American. So the emails are extremely important, that you want to make sure that you pay attention to the recent email that I've sent out to say that I need you to be able to follow through with the confirmation process. Okay? I cannot send out individual emails. There's 556 Indianians in the LRO today. I cannot send out a separate email to 556 people just because they don't want to take the time to be responsible and mature enough to handle things on their email side. All right. So here are the value statements of the Assembly. We stand under the laws of nature. The laws of nature is God, the Ten Commandments, the Declaration of Independence. We accept the fiduciary responsibility of the Indiana Trust and operate under the prudent man standard, meaning we treat our state business as if it were our own business, but not for personal gain. We keep the peace and uphold the public law. We report crime. We value each man and woman as a unique creation of our Creator and recognize them as a powerful co-creator. We willingly choose to self-govern and strive to show up as our best self in each and every experience. We do not and we will not condone or participate in any form of insurrection, rebellion, or creation of armed forces other than the lawful state assembly militias operated as they're supposed to be operated within each state, and our land-based Continental Marshals Service, which is our jurisdictional interface with the U.S. Marshals Service. We perform under the treaties and constitutional agreements already established and for supporting the restored American government and reconstruction thereof, and will become responsible for the conduct of the restored Confederation and Federal Republic. Here are important Indiana documents. So here's the Assembly Affirmation and Purpose and Conduct. If you're interested in actually participating more with the Assembly, that's going to be necessary. And if you'll read through it, you'll see why. This is where you're affirming how you will handle yourself. Then here is contact info for the Assembly. This is so that we can make sure that we have your information, because everyone's a part of the General Assembly, everyone's a part of the Jural Assembly, and everyone's a part of the Militia Assembly. So we need to have up-to-date contact information for you so that we can make sure that we can keep you informed of the various training opportunities and what is going on. Then there's the Indiana Assembly men and women's points of order and how to handle yourself within the assembly process. We're going to not this evening, but we're going to end up going through these eventually, because because we still have those that have a hard time actually doing reading on their own, and so we need to make sure that this is actually presented so that they can't say that, well, you didn't show it. Well, here's a link. But at some point we've all got to help make this work, right? It's a two-way street. You can't expect it all to be on one. Then here is also the Assembly Militia Standards and Principles, and that comes from the Peacekeepers Federation level, where peacekeepers across all the states put together that Militia Standards and Principles. Committees, the way we work link, and recommended committee structures, so it tells you about more detail about the committee structures, call to public office, and so forth. There's another comment. Hold on just a moment. How do I access presentation? Where can I read it? After the call, I'll be able to upload the agenda, because I got to be able to make sure then of putting in who all was on the call. No, the agenda, it was just a list of the agenda details, but it wasn't this actual presentation. The presentation is not available until afterwards so that I can update the information. Alright, and as well as we get more people actually stepping up to support, those things will become more available and to be able to do, because there are more filling the need to be able to make that happen. Alright, so a reminder, this is your public duty. Here is a link to the Law of Peace. That is the manual from the Army. Just as the Army has the law of war, they have law of peace. Here is the community training manual establishing the reign of natural liberty, the common law, and its courts. We're reading through that in the General Assembly. Here are important articles from Anna. You got three choices. You either have are there a part of the state land and soil jurisdiction assembly, the one and only state assembly for the entire state, or you're welcome to go to the district assembly or a municipal assembly. The warning signs, you have district infiltrators we talked about earlier. For coordinators, the American way. This refreshes about the three choices. And then public international alert for state assemblies, for those that are liars that are actively trying to distract others that are actually trying to fulfill their mission, that are trying to infiltrate in. And they're very smooth, they're very slick, and they really do a lot of that semantics and a lot of dancing and twisting with the language, and then they try to throw out that they're more moral and more doing the right thing than you are, when they're the ones that are actually being un-American in the moment. Alright, so November of this year, there's a plan for countrywide for Americans to meet at Faith Monument. Here's two videos of the documents. It's in Plymouth. And we are on Telegram, which we are recording. We are presenting on Telegram this evening as well, so there'll be that recording after the call as well. Alright, make sure. Okay. And Linktree, and evidently Linktree has put in their terms and conditions that they may start censoring, so we're trying to see about which the Assembly has not been paying Linktree, but that may be something to be able to see about later at some point in time, to be able to still maintain a full list of all the links in one place. And I've started an account with Freedom Chat, and I'm working that through. I watch Roseanne Barr, and she had information on Freedom Chat, so we'll see how that works. I don't think it has all the types of capability as Telegram, but we could be able to talk on more open topics there. And if anybody has any comments, if they've experienced Freedom Chat, let us know so we can follow through. Here again is a reminder of the 3 branches of government. We are working to fill in the part that's all in red. We have been the ones that haven't been doing our job. And because of that, the traitors have infiltrated in and taken over. All because we haven't done our job. Alright, so assembly eligibility. When the people wish to become official members of their state assembly, they need to present or create the public record that they are Americans born or naturalized in this country and affirm that they are adopting state national and or the state citizen political status. So, even though you get your paperwork done and you got your paperwork notarized, you may even have gone forward and gone to a county recorder's office and had it recorded. Following through with actually presenting a copy to the assembly is required. But everyone is a part of the General Assembly, but to actually then start being a member of the assembly, you have to actually present. Everyone's a general member, and as long as they live on Indiana and can come to the General Assembly calls. There are some things that they can vote in, some things they cannot vote in. While many may have made the choice that they're choosing to be a citizen, if they have not presented to the assembly that they're choosing to be a citizen, they're not going to get the information that comes to those that are identified as citizens. Okay, so you have to present, you have to identify and let the assembly know that you're choosing to be a citizen or you're choosing to be a national, which means you also have to present your status correction. Minimum paperwork requirements for that presentation. State national is 1779, 2 witness testimonies, birth certificate, and valid current photo ID, driver or driver's license, as well as verification of living on Indiana today. And then if you want as a citizen, then everything is the same. 2 witness testimonies from 2 people, including the 2. Everything is the same on both national or citizen, and 2 witness testimonies of 2 people, preferably over the lawful age of 21, and have known you a minimum of 7 years. If they're not like a parent or a child or a sister or brother that are natural family, then have your witness put how many years. A friend, I just met you yesterday and you may consider me your friend, but I don't know if that's been a 7-year friendship. Okay, so you need to make sure and include that. So whether national or citizen, you have 2 witness testimonies, birth certificate, current valid photo ID or driver's license, verification of where you live on Indiana. Then as a national, you include the 1779, or as a citizen, you include the 928s. The full bundle, not just bits and pieces, the full bundle. So that's the bare minimum to at least get you moving forward in that. Alright, so we have the General Assembly, International Business Assembly, that is only state citizens for International Business Assembly. And again, you have to present your paperwork that you've corrected as a state citizen, or you have no standing, you're not eligible to act as a state citizen at that time. Then there's the Jural Assembly. Everyone's a member of the Jural Assembly, but as a member of the jury pool, and then it depends on whether you're stepping up into an elected office within that aspect. Not everyone is going to be called for jury duty, nor would they be eligible if they're stepping up into a role. The General Assembly holds all the elections. Okay? The chairman of the General Assembly is the speaker for the assembly, not the president, not a CEO. There is only one rightful, lawful assembly. Sure, anyone can assemble, but there can only be one actual, factual, rightful, and lawful assembly that is the foundational part of our American government, and you found us. This is the only assembly. Whatever other name that you've heard out there, National Assembly, anything like that, is not the Indiana Assembly for those living on Indiana. Again, here's a reminder of the 3 choices. You can either join your American State Assembly, this one here, or you can join a local district assembly or a local municipal district assembly. Reminder that the General Assembly is the driver for everything. Everything starts in the General Assembly. Again, here is more information about the 4 pillars, as well as here's a picture where it shows what the different offices that are, the public offices that are open within those pillars. And here is, so far, green are, there's at least 2 that have presented their paperwork, so that at some point in time, hopefully they can start getting together and start helping to build on their state. But they have to actually come to calls, actually be a part of this. Stop waiting around for someone. It's like everyone's gone back to kindergarten. We're just waiting for somebody else to come up and talk to us. It's time to start taking the lead and start talking to others. Alright, here are your calls to action. Ensure that you're getting the emails. This is assembly calls, training, prosperity card information, and the like. Self-governing means you have to add yourself to the list, follow through with the confirmation. There's the link. Then you're still going to have to make sure I have my personal with a Gmail so that I can have that test. And it took me 3 or 4 times, even though I went through the first time reporting not spam, then went and confirmed the email. I still, for about 3 or 4 emails afterwards, had to still find them they were still in spam, to actually click on report not spam, find it in the inbox, then open it in the inbox to follow through with that process before it finally started kicking them into the inbox. Then you cannot just review them. You have to actually open the emails. This is to combat the algorithms. This is their AI warfare that they're using. So you have to take action and be that one on your side to say, yes, I do want this. You're not going to hide this from me. So follow through with the process. But don't decide you don't want to go through with the email process and then later email me to get information you would have already received had you made sure that your emails were coming through here. All right, we're seeking state nationals and state citizen assembly members to step up, and that's general members, but having presented their national or citizen correction status, to step up to voluntarily support the vetting committee. So yes, you have to at least presented the minimum to be able to participate with the vetting committee. Then there's the ASNs and ASCs to volunteer tech support with video platforms to ensure all assembly recordings include appropriate verbiage, credits, links, and so forth. All right, now, ASCs, citizens only. An email went out earlier today that there are 2 public laws that are up right now for the citizens only to vote on, those that have presented their paperwork for citizen status. Let's see. All right, so Public Law 1010-124 claims all your stuff back and authorizes extraterritorial force and administrative expenses. And then Public Law 1010-224 removes the purported immunity. All right, so let me stop screen sharing a moment. That should just be on. Let me stop here a moment. And what does that show in Telegram? It's still a little bit of a lag, but okay. So, where did I pull those up in here for, alright, so this is for the public law. Alright, that I can find in here so that I can read it for you. Alright, so let's see. Oh, it wasn't here, it was on forms. Pardon. Here we go. Alright, and I'll screen share and make this bigger because it's... Alright, let's screen share this. Alright, so this is the first public law, 1010-124. Claims all your stuff back and authorizes extraterritorial force and administrative expenses by roll call vote of the United States of America in Assembly. It is hereby declared and recorded that all indebtedness of the United States of America Incorporated and the United States of America Incorporated debts of the former USA Corporation, United States Corporation, and all and any foreign corporations doing business under deceptive names so as to fool people into thinking that these were debts of our nation states, are debts in fact owed by these corporations to our states and people. This pertains to the recoupment of all private assets that were unlawfully and illegally used as chattel, backing the spending and criminal activities of these corporations from 1860 onward. These debts are inclusive of, but not limited to, the war debts. Oh, I've got to make sure this is screen sharing, don't I? Hold on. Oh, good, it's showing. Okay. At least Telegram has let me make sure on, pardon. Okay. Alright, let's see. This pertains to the recoupment of all private assets that were unlawfully and illegally used as chattel, backing the spending in and criminal activities of these corporations from 1860 onward. These debts are inclusive of, but not limited to, the war debts for the American Civil War and so-called First World War, Second World War, and all other world wars that have in fact been mercenary conflicts waged by these criminal corporations using our money and manpower under false pretense for their own profit and gain. We have claimed the entire debt of all these rogue corporations and cured our claim on a global basis, and we have foreclosed on them and their 63 central banks, including the so-called Global Federal Reserve and all their franchises. It is our intent to return property to the rightful owners wherever and whenever possible, without causing a cascade of harm to living people, and to otherwise provide for their care, repair, sustenance, education, health, and independence of the people who have been harmed by these corporations and their fraud schemes. All recoupments and purloined property interests, meaning intellectual and performance property rights, PKIs, as well as physical assets, will be returned to the office of our fiduciary for restitution and auditing and returned to the rightful owners on a worldwide basis. For the purposes of this public law, including the necessary recoupment actions, we authorize the use of extraterritorial force and administrative support as needed. We are publishing our action as a public law so that all people and nations are advised about what has happened and the nature and intent of the actions we are taking on behalf of the living men and women worldwide who have been the victims of their own public employees and foreign agency personnel and corporations which have impersonated them and their entire countries. Anyone having information about gold, silver, land, cash, or corporation shareholdings or securities related to the United States of America is requested and required to contact the Office of the Fiduciary. All central banks in receipt of private gold, silver, cash, land, and corporation shareholding assets, and any insurance, annuity, or security interests related to these corporations, their franchises, or their officials, is requested and required to contact the Office of the Fiduciary. This public law of the United States of America shall be effective immediately as the first day of March in the year of 2024 upon final enrollment of concurring votes from the state assemblies, and shall continue in force and be placed upon our federal record as Public Law 1010-124. All right, then the second public law up is Public Law 1010-224, removes the purported immunity. By roll call vote of the United States of America in Assembly, we here declare and record the eternal maxim of law that no thing is greater than its creator, and we align our public law with this maxim and declare and enroll it upon our federal record, such that no corporation operating on our land and soil or in our names or with any presumption of a public or private interest in us or anything of ours at all, including our good names, will be immune to any prosecution for harm done to living people or their property, assets, and interests. We expressly and explicitly hold all corporations liable for their activities and the results of those activities. There is and can be no such thing as immunity offered to public or privately held corporations, such as the immunity legislation signed by Ronald Reagan in 1986, seeming to offer immunity from prosecution to the pharmaceutical industry related to vaccine products and drugs produced by these corporations. Didn't know that, did you, from Ronald Reagan? We are not subject to legislation passed by our employees for the purpose of regulating their own operations. Any enforcement under color of law of their foreign corporation rules, codes, mandates, statutes, and other forms of legislation on Americans or against the rights and interests of Americans is absolutely prohibited. Likewise, we, their employers, are not subject to any executive orders issued by their presidents. Executive orders are limited, again, to the internal workings of incorporated entities and the persons employed by these corporations. They cannot offer their franchises or any incorporated entity any state immunity or freedom from liability that they do not possess themselves. They cannot pretend that we are their employees or dependents and therefore subject to their internal rules, codes, statutes, ordinances, regulations, mandates, and other legislated and copyrighted laws, which they maintain for their own internal purposes as municipal and commercial service corporations and non-governmental corporations, NGOs, working for the service corporations as agencies. This public law of the United States of America shall be effective immediately as of the first day of March in the year of 2024 upon final enrollment of concurring votes from the state assemblies, and shall continue in force and be placed upon our federal record as Public Law 1010-224. All right, so Indiana citizens were sent this in an email, a link to go to this so that they can be able to cast their ballots for citizens only. All right. So that was the public law. All right. So information to share with attorneys and all. So there is a link here. I'll go to that in just a moment. This link includes the template for the sole survivorship template. That is the information that's coming from the article Meat Money, the Meat of the Matter, and combination of the for declared Americans only and 2 and 3 of that. And a reminder that this is a disclaimer and instruction should be applied to tax bills, court summons, or any other official correspondence you receive alleging a debt or other problems. So that is all included in there. And in a few moments we'll read through for the attorney and sole survivorship. Now, a reminder, we presented the week before last a review of Florida's election process to see about how we could be able to, if we need to make any tweaks to it, how we can be able to modify that to support Indiana. All right, so here are Anna's articles for the week. And I liked this one from this quote from Article 4704. So teach yourself not to lie. Be truly fearless. Okay? So we're going to look at the Article 4707 to expedite understanding. All right, understanding is a good thing. It helps people get along and do their jobs, live their lives in a cooperative and peaceful manner. In my experience, at least 95% of the attorneys in this country don't have a clue that they are doing anything wrong. They have been told that they are in a state of war and have been ever since the Civil War. They have been told, some of them, those in positions of leadership and power, that their actions are justified under the law of war. They've been lied to. That's why we need to remind people we're under the law of peace. All right. Oh, Joe is on the call. I want to welcome Joe. Glad you're here. All right.
Hi.
Hi.
I'll mute out. Go ahead. Continue, Christine. You're doing great.
Okay. All right. All right. So they don't know that the Civil War was actually a mercenary conflict, and every war since then has been a mercenary conflict. None of these horrible fights have the dignity of being an actual war, and so there is no law of conquest, no law of war, no law of peace, nothing to justify what they've done here. So we have two levels of audiences, the completely clueless and the deluded, to fully inform. Attached you will find a handy-dandy general information for attorneys that is appropriate to send or give away to any attorney you have cause to speak to or interact with. So, now in the link that's going to be in the agenda presentation that will follow after the call, it will have this as well as a general version, which may be this, but it'll be in a Word doc format as well as then a more detailed one. All right, let's read this one. This is a standard information in the criminal sense so that all and any attorneys have appropriate communication in hand to avoid committing acts of personage against Americans who are in fact the naked owners holding the unique and only survivorship interest in their named estates. All right. Okay, good. The breach of trust begins when the victims are only a few days or a few weeks old. Unidentified persons address the mothers who have just given birth and present paperwork that they claim is just routine hospital record-keeping paperwork. Neither the words on the page nor the explanation prove to be anything amounting to full disclosure. For example, the nature of lowercase the United States of America is not disclosed to be a foreign corporation. The word incorporated is omitted throughout the numerous deceitful legal terms are used. Numerous deceitful legal terms are used. For example, describing the natural birth mother as an informant. An earlier version of this same scam, mothers were mischaracterized as unwed mothers who were abandoning their babies as wards of the state franchise corporations. This paperwork was also signed by medical doctors who outranked attorneys in the British Naval Services and order of title so that no attorney can object to this fraud. Doing so would be countermanding the orders of a superior officer. So you are neatly off the hook to the extent that the medical doctors bear the brunt of the liability, except that knowingly participating in crime and using the excuse that you were only following orders has already been discredited by the Nuremberg tribunal and is unlikely to prove a successful excuse for knowingly and unlawfully converting the nationality and political status of an American baby to that of a British territorial ward of state, Franchise Corporation of the United States of America, Incorporated. An action that degenerates a freeborn man or woman to the political status of an indentured servant, owing allegiance to the British King and the British Crown Corporation, also converts a man into a human person, and then human traffics the victim into the foreign jurisdiction of maritime commerce and admiralty. This presumed to exist British merchant seaman is about to meet an unfortunate and tenuous demise, as he will be declared missing, presumed lost at sea, and while the American, blissfully unaware of all this, has his life estate waived for him, unwittingly, by his mother acting without any benefit of disclosure concerning any of this self-interested fraud. Thus, we have purported contract that this, 1, undisclosed to the mother, and 2, which the baby has absolutely no cognizance of, a totally unconscionable contract seeming to obligate him to a lifetime as an indentured servant and U.S. citizen of the British territorial United States. You are now perpetuating this cowardly and vicious breach of trust and personage. Next, the Department of Commerce acts as a usufruct and takes the personage a step further and uses the baby's name to create numerous municipal corporation franchises, beginning with the infant decedent estates appearing in American Sign Language, aka Dog Latin, such that an American baby named Samuel Jacob Stein is converted into a British territorial U.S. citizen of the same name, trafficked into the jurisdiction of the sea, and then impersonated a second time as all caps Samuel Jacob Stein, a municipal corporation, estate, trust, and franchise of the U.S. Inc. A number of derivatives are then dreamed up in rapid succession. The Samuel J. Stein Public Transmitting Utility, the Samuel J. with no period Stein Special Purpose Vehicle, and so on. Not so amazingly, the Department of Commerce forgets its usufructory responsibility toward all these slaves that are created in the name of the American victims, and hordes of attorneys just like you spend their lives prosecuting these vaporous things as if they actually exist. They even make up new names and proliferate more and more such derivatives out of thin air as targets for them to prosecute in the foreign maritime courts. All these foreign persons are created under the municipal code of and by the municipal government of Washington, D.C., and have the political status of slaves, conveniently seeming to be named after American babies. Welcome, Jason, on Howard County. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Glad you were able to join us this evening.
Yeah, so am I.
All right. Of course, the whole point of this is to find some plausible excuse to confuse the identity of the American baby with all these foreign puppets in order to mischaracterize, racketeer, illegally confiscate, plunder, and pillage the people that you're supposed to be here serving in good faith. All bar attorneys engaged in prosecution of anyone under this scam should be advised that they are not at war, but are rather engaged in a commercial mercenary conflict that is as bogus as all the rest of this claptrap, and they have no protection or recourse to the law of war. This began with the so-called American Civil War, which was never declared by any Congress, nor ended by any peace process. Though President Andrew Johnson did declare peace of the land by proclamation 3 times, and thereby did form a contract of peace with the Americans naturally populating the land. You are now in receipt of this communication from one such American who woke up and stands ready to recite chapter and verse to produce evidence of the crimes committed against him or her in the form of the birth certificates issued each time their identity was trafficked to a new jurisdiction, and has declared, recorded, and published their claim to their birthright political status and their survivalship interest in the British Seamen's estate, and also any material benefit of the municipal estate and its derivatives. We know who we are, and we have proof of all the malfeasance, fraud, and crimes of personage which have been perpetuated upon us by members of the American Medical Association and the Bar Association, more than enough to convict you and every other participant in this system of fraud, human trafficking, unlawful conversion, inland piracy, personage and barratry, and conspiracy against the constitutions and against us, your peaceable and loyal employers. If you've availed yourself of any extra creative impulses and made up any additional derivatives, or attempted to saddle any of us with any bogus new names, or misplaced any titles like Mr. to any plain old average American, there is also your own federal code. 18 U.S.C. 4513A provides that whoever makes, utters, or possesses a counterfeited security of a state, of a political subdivision thereof, or of an organization, or whoever makes, utters, or possesses a forged security of a state, or political subdivision thereof, or of an organization, with intent to deceive another person, organization, or government, shall be fined not more than $250,000 or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. These foreign municipal person slaves are used as securities, and when you make up new names and try to attach them to Americans to make up new derivatives as targets for prosecution, you're engaged in counterfeiting these purported securities and willfully participating in these venal fraud schemes, breaches of trust, and criminal activities. You have been fully informed. By Anna Maria Reitzinger. Then she goes through legal fictionalization scheme, information for judges, justices, attorneys, and counselors at law. So here are the different variations of the spellings, and you can be able to read through that yourself. Now, it's possible that there may be one more entry in that, because we're noticing that they're using the nom de guerre spelling. I'm not exactly sure. I got to replay the coordinator call about how that works, but some are using the nom de guerre version, and that's how they're also doing legal warfare against people. So that is a possibility. Someone was going to say something?
Oh, Christine, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Hi, John.
Oh, hi, Christine. Hey, man, I would just love to be able to print this off. And
You're going to get, as soon as the call is over, and I can go through and put in who was present on the call, then it will be uploaded into the description as well as posted to the website, and you'll be able to have that presentation. Same presentation.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, so I'm here on this FCC. I'm not really sure how to work this.
You should be, are you on your phone?
No, I'm on my laptop.
You should be, there should be screen sharing with you.
Okay, I don't have my camera on.
It's not about your camera. It should be screen sharing with you.
Yeah, I can see it. So,
there you go.
After this,
But yeah, you got to give me time to look at all the platforms to see who was all on the call, because they should have posted their name and county like you all did, so I can go in and make sure it's updated in the agenda, and then it will be in the descriptions of the various places, as well as posted on the Assembly website.
okay.
Okay. All right. Great question, though. Okay. So, claims that recipients of mRNA shots are rendered transhumans have already been outlawed in this country. Recent recipients should have been protected by the infrastructures and their successors. Failure to protect the living man and primary. Oh, by the way, John, this what we're looking at right now, if you go to AnnaVonRights.com, click on this last article, 4707, to expedite understanding.
Okay.
Okay, and on that it has the link that will get you to what we're looking at right now, if that helps too.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
All right, so gives more information here that you can be able to read through. The blue coloring indicates legal fictions derived from living and lawful persons. Usufructs must protect the living people and their lawful persons from any harm or loss resulting from the use of their names. Remember that there is no military conflict and no recourse to the laws of war or peace. All wars since the American Civil War have been mercenary conflicts only. There is no applicable law of conquest, no emergency powers, no authority vested in military district courts operated by mercenary forces or hired jurists, and no valid contract that lacks full disclosure and cognizance. Anyone caught using or soliciting, seeking to subject, entrap, ensnare, or otherwise encumber American babies or adults via this foreign legal scheme without full disclosure so as to impersonate and denigrate and unlawfully convert the victim's political status and identity will be subject to immediate arrest and prosecution under UCMJ 18 U.S.C. 4 513A, both the Hague and Geneva Conventions as applicable, the constitutions, and will be 100% commercially and personally liable for their acts. Okay? So, again, that'll be, you can go to AnnaVonRights.com. It's Article 4707, as well as the link will be in the agenda presentation here. The link is here for 4707 to be able to go and read through that. All right. As well as if you go back to the agenda itself, where was that? Here. No. So it's got to be all on that page. Let's see. Here. Okay. So in this is the drive that you can go now that has the soul survivorship template, as well as the Word document for what we just read. There's a general version as well as a more detailed version in Word document, and the link will be here in the agenda presentation. All right, so those were the main things that we needed to make sure that we covered for this evening. Again, making sure that your emails that you've made sure that you've set up that your emails through the most recent email server and checking your spam and junk and promotion folders part of your everyday. Because if you don't actually open the email as well, if you're only previewing the email, it'll kick it right back in as well, because the algorithms will say, well, but you're not actually opening it. It doesn't, even though it's got the preview window open, it doesn't recognize it as being previewed through the algorithm. It has to actually be opened. All right, so we'll go ahead. If you did have information, if you wanted to learn more about the med beds, here's information on this. If you wanted to support a med bed here on Indiana, here's a link to gift directly. But if you wanted to learn more about it, there is that information. And then here's all the contact info. All right, so we'll go ahead. A reminder, if we don't forget, so that when we finish up here, is that the next General Assembly call will be Monday, April 1st at 6 p.m. Central. And next Monday, the 25th, is the General Assembly call. So we want to go ahead now and pass it over to Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Thank you, Christine.
You're very
Doing
welcome.
well. How are you?
I'm doing well. You got a little cold
Are we okay?
again.
Oh, well, Christine, coming off the heels of the latest Federation articles, it's probably a really great opportunity for the assemblies to revive the midwife service to status-corrected families. You know, because when you were reading through that, I noticed, and I'm aware of the paperwork resulting from a birth certificate from these foundlings as the mothers being informants, but before that were considered unwed mothers.
Right.
And if you notice in the foundling hospitals, again they default the wards as maternity wards instead of paternity wards.
Right.
So it's just some of those details where I guess in certain emergencies, like I'm speculating here, but I can see where an emergency birth, or someone, a mother attempting to give delivery but has complications, where they would, where the midwife service couldn't provide that service, that they would, usher the mother to an emergency delivery system,
Right.
which is great, but the assemblies can again rekindle that midwife service, and then begin to, at least publish and begin to declare statements regarding that service as no, these are families that are status corrected, and that the vulnerable, it's dangerous both for the mother as well as the baby during times of birth, but certainly it was during times of old where midwives, provided that service at home. So, and again, it's just going to be the assemblies braving the service of a midwife, and the assemblies themselves doing their part to learn that service and provide that service.
Right. Right. And especially when we went through an era of, that, oh, you don't want a midwife, they're not going to be able to take care of you.
Right. Well, and again, it's just the verbiage itself. The paperwork filled out by the mother as considered unwed now, and no other option on the paperwork. I guess as a default they consider that as unwed. What does that mean?
Right.
I mean, why would that be the case? No other option. Wed, unwed, or whatever the case may be. But then they evolved it into being just an informant. Automatically defaulting it further is to say the hospital, that's very clever and diabolical for them to just assume that. But again, they could, whoever constructed that alternative corporate service would themselves also not expect a pregnant woman to come to their service, if not having already utilized the midwife service at home or in their county. It's just something really clever to see to be removed. So that's interesting. And everything is, it starts from there, from the delivery. All of this entanglement has started from there. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where mothers also, they need to be informed, because I remember when we had our first child 30 years ago, it was that fear of you got to fill out all the paperwork. They won't let you take the baby home if you don't fill out the paperwork. They won't let you take the baby home if you don't have the car seat right.
Right.
Those are all the fears that were running through my head at the time, and it's like, and they want you to make these decisions literally after you've given birth. Your body, you're like drained. You're barely cognizant that you're holding a baby in the moment. And that's what they want when they want you to do all that paperwork.
Yeah, and they're in full-blown presumption mode.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that also the parents have been identified as wards of the state themselves. So it is absolutely a
nasty
it's
scheme.
insane, but yes, and if anybody was to come to terms with where these things have taken place. They took place in the founding and the advent of the birth certificate itself. So I mean, again, and with it's really timely that the Federation has reinforced the assertion for the American people that these things have to go away. But
Right.
again, it's going to have to be the due diligence of the assemblies to. I mean, what would they provide? They would have to learn how to provide a midwife service, and then just forego the foundlings altogether,
Right.
and just leave all of those presumptions aside by the wayside. So
Yep.
really great. So as far as PKTF goes, the Peacekeeping Task Force, and for Area 4 and for Indiana, we have received an enrollment form from someone on Indiana showing that their general interest as well. And I can't tell you, Christine, if they attended our training meeting this Saturday. I couldn't tell. But we did have upwards of 20 participants. We
Great.
do have 26 states. Yeah, 26 states in general interest. If you'd like, I can send you some of the meetings. If I haven't already sent you.
The first one I know you sent me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we've had two. They're 2 weeks apart.
Okay.
And they will ramp up to weekly meetings eventually, very soon, probably
Okay.
within the next. We'll have another meeting on the 30th, and I can also send you the link to the UGE platform where we have the actual presentation in tutorial form, and it's read in tutorial form. They're not actually the meetings themselves, but the actual presentation.
Okay.
And you can also go there and see what the Peacekeeping Task Force directors are discussing every week as well, 30-minute meetings.
Okay. Sounds good.
But yeah, and I can let you know who the name is. I can't recall, it was a man, but if he's on the call tonight, great. Thank you for showing your interest, and if you weren't in attendance, whoever that Indianan was, we'll be sure to send that over to them as well, the replay for last week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have?
And,
Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, again, as a result of that, anything as Indiana grows, they will be learning how to provide that evaluation, the subsequent education, and then the coordination. Some people are a little bit out of focus on or curious about what the coordination aspect is regarding your sheriffs, your continental marshals, and then whatever derives from emergency services from your assembly militia. The coordination aspect is coordinating an interface for those three particular peacekeepers and their counterparts. So your future soil jurisdiction county sheriffs and their counterparts, which is their current municipal sheriff, state of state. And the continental marshals and their counterparts being the U.S. Marshals, okay? And also the U.S. Marshals, they do have deputy marshals within every county or a series of counties that a deputy U.S. Marshal services. So those are the counterparts, and that's what the liaison will be providing, is building that interface, so that the liaison can speak on behalf of the assembly regarding those peacekeepers. Okay. So they're attempting to, and in the future, when you have people on Indiana as PKTF assembly liaisons, they will provide their reports to your General Assembly Oversight Committee, and they will also be meeting face to face with and providing that exchange and that interface on behalf of your future assembly outer peacekeeping services. Okay. So it's really exciting because in all of the assemblies that have members from various states are really excited. So I'll send you those links, and you can replays, and you can.
Okay.
You'll be excited too. Any questions coming from Indiana with regards to the Continental Marshal Service or?
No, I keep including in the email for the assembly call to email you directly with any questions.
Okay. Well, again, we have had perhaps 2 separate inquiries regarding the role for assembly liaison. So, and they have been from Indiana.
Awesome.
but they were just interest in the role of the assembly liaison. So more to follow on that. And that's really all I have at the moment.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We're grateful for all that you are doing to help all of us across the country, that's also leading the way to help other countries as well.
Sure.
All right, everyone. I thank you all for being on the call. We want to remind you that the next General Assembly call is April the 1st, 6 p.m. Central, and the next General Assembly is this Monday, March the 25th at 6 p.m. Again, everyone living on Indiana today are part of the General Assembly and the General Assembly, as well as the Militia Assembly. But you do need to present status correction for national or citizen if you're wanting to actually serve in those capacities for various things. All right, and then the rest of the agenda will be reminders of things to help you with your training and having that repetition. And I want to thank everyone for being on the call, and we'll see each other hopefully next week. I wish you all peace and love. And Wayne, we hope everything goes well for your dear one and for your lovely wife, and hopefully everything goes well and she's safe too. Again, give me time to get through all the platforms to be able to make sure I can put on everybody that was on the call into the agenda. And then the link will be put out everywhere to be able to get the actual presentation agenda. All right. I thank you all. Have a lovely evening. Peace and love.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
Goodbye.